Alright, what's up, everybody? We're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, I'm going to be talking about some rumors that we've seen throughout the last couple days about free agency and stuff like that. Talking about rumors here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. Join the membership. If you want to learn more about the membership, there's a video on my channel explaining all of it. You can go back and watch that. Link to my Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that, description down below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to talk about is the Milwaukee Bucks might be making some changes. Brian Windhorst from ESPN reported a couple of days ago saying that Doc Rivers is looking to make changes to the core pieces of the roster. Also saying that not Dame or Giannis, but potentially looking at other maneuvers they could look to make to alter their team. So basically saying kind of everybody but Giannis and Dame can be traded for the Bucks to try to make this team better. Of course, we know what happened last year where they made the crazy coaching change, firing Adrian Griffin, bringing in Doc Rivers halfway through the season, even though they were really good, and they kind of ended out on a very bad way, of course, not having Giannis, Dame being injured, and yeah, they just never really looked like that elite team they thought they're going to be this season, and they're kind of in a hole financially where they can't really make a lot of things happen. So looking at some side, I mean, they have some players that are going to be free agents this year, like Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly, Jay Crowder, and it's like, dang, how much, like, those guys, they don't really have much money, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, Dame and Giannis are both getting paid $48 million next year. Chris Middleton's up 31, 23 for Brook Lopez, who's on the last year of his contract. Bobby Portis is eligible for an extension, and yeah, they just don't really have a lot of wiggle room to work with. So the only thing they can really do to kind of change this team up is to make moves. And when they do say everybody around Dame and Giannis to try to make maneuvers, I assume Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez are in that because that's the only thing they really have of value. I mean, what are you really getting back for Pat Connaughton and Marjan Beauchamp maybe that is going to make your team better? It's just not really. So the only thing they really have to trade is Chris and Brooke, maybe Bobby, I guess, if they don't think they're going to be able to give him the money he wants, maybe. I don't know. But then again, he's only making $12 million, and then he has a player option next year. So it's like, I don't know. So I assume Chris and Brooke are going to be the guys that could be eligible to be traded or could be traded. Chris Middleton is getting paid $31 million this year, and then next year he's going to be on a $34 million player option that he's probably going to accept. He has been injury riddled the last couple years. Did have a good playoffs, but it's been tough. He hasn't been able to stay on the court consistently, and he's getting older. He's about 33 years old now. So potentially he could be the guy on the move. Brook Lopez on the last year of his contract. He is 36 years old now. Didn't have an amazing season last year. He fits in well with the Bucks, plan and stuff. But now with Doc Rivers, maybe they look for another direction in terms of bringing in some more young talent. And I guess trading away Middleton and Lopez could be the way to do it. Get off some of that money and potentially bring in some solid. Because I think you can get some solid, pieces back for Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez. I'm not saying you can get stars back, but I think you can get some pretty decent things that can round out the rest of your roster, potentially. So I guess I'm very interested to see how the Bucks do this. Do they actually do it? Honestly, I kind of am not really expecting them to do it. I don't know why. I just get a feeling that that's Middleton and Lopez are going to be on the team next season. Or if not, if I had to pick one, maybe Chris Middleton probably goes. But I don't know. I just don't see where would both of them go and that they change up really all this. I don't know why. I just can't really see it. But I do, commend Doc Rivers and stuff for coming out, or if this is true or not, and saying like, we want to change this team up because we know this team didn't look as amazing as it did last year. So maybe they will trade. I don't really know. I'm not expecting a whole lot of crazy movement from Milwaukee, but if they do become a player in this offseason as a trade market and stuff like that, then that could be very, very interesting. Next, let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks. There's been a lot to talk about. Of course, they have the number one overall pick. A lot of rumors expect to fly. Sharania appeared on the Pat McAfee show on Friday, and he talked about that DeJounte Murray and teams around the league are expecting him to be the subject of trade conversations over the next week or so, also mentioning the Lakers as a team linked. Yeah, I mean, there's no secret that everybody kind of expects the Hawks to trade one of Trey or DeJounte. The experiment just hasn't really worked over the last 2 years, especially now they have the number one overall pick. Maybe it's time to, kind of change things up in Atlanta. And one of Trey and DeJounte are probably going to go. And when we hear the rumors around the draft about potentially Donovan Klay being the guy for the Hawks, not Alex Sarr, because apparently Alex Sarr hasn't really worked out with Atlanta and probably doesn't want to go to Atlanta, and having Donovan Klay there, that makes me think and assume that one of that there's more likely that this team is kind of staying together. And while DeJounte's still on the trade market, and I would like to see one of them move, maybe DeJounte, I'd like to see him move to another team. I'm gonna be very excited to see that. If it does happen, apparently, a lot of teams expect it to happen, and I just don't really know. I just really want to see what the Hawks are thinking in their heads. Like what are they thinking? Are they thinking, you know what? Let's just keep this team together, get clinging, move on, and then maybe one more year it could work because we did give him a money extension. We did trade all those first round picks to get him. Or are they thinking, you know what, we got to trade both of them? Or like, what are they thinking in their heads? I really want to know what they're thinking. But DeJounte Murray being traded, that's not a secret, I guess, really, or not a new thing that's breaking out. People know this for a long time. I'm very interested to see if he can go. The Lakers wouldn't be a bad one. Even a team like the Pelicans, as last year they were a team that was, kind of interested. So I'm very interested to see where that goes. And more about the Atlanta Hawks. Yahoo report from Jake Fisher from Yahoo reporting that Clint Capella might be on the move as well this offseason, especially with, if the Hawks are going to bring in Donovan Klay or maybe Alex Sarr, it just makes sense to move on from Capella, especially if you already have Onyeka Okongwu out there as a big man as well, maybe giving him more of a chance. It just makes a lot of sense, to move on from Capella. He's getting older at this point. I think he's 30 years old. Still going to pay. He's on the last year of his contract. It makes sense to move him. I think Capella can have a okay market. He's just what you're getting with Capella. You're getting dunks. You're getting a lob threat, dunks, blocks, and rebounds. That's what you're gonna get, and he's really good at doing that. So a lot of teams, or a couple of teams, probably will be on the lookout to go get a Clint Capella type center. We have the Hawks are going to be a very interesting player in this free agency as well. Even in this draft, with the draft, are they going to trade their pick? Who are they going to pick at one? Are they going to trade DeJounte? Are they going to trade Clint Capella? What other moves are they going to make to try to retool this team around Trey? And it's going to be very interesting. And yeah, I'm excited for it. I just really want to know what the Hawks are thinking, and what they're going to do. Next, talking about more free agency, Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors obviously has been one of the bigger storylines of this free agency the with the guard being on the trade market, and apparently there's reports from a lot of different people. The Athletics' Anthony Slater reported that Golden State has not put a formal contract offer on the table to Klay Thompson, and talks are essentially frozen right now, which is just wow. Of course, there's no secret that Klay Thompson leaving Golden State has been on the table, has been talked about a lot for the past year, especially with Klay not having an amazing shooting season the last year or two. The Warriors kind of being in a very weird position of trying to win, but also not really having any wiggle room to make any moves happen, and their team getting older now, and other players kind of breaking out. So it's like, what's really going to happen? Especially, and adding in the fact that apparently Klay wants, some money in his last kind of payday before he rides out. So it's very, very interesting. Also more reports of he wants a contract of at least 3 years. But a lot of teams and reporters coming out saying that most likely a 2-year option will be on the table. And even there's another report kind of related to this saying that they executives and stuff don't expect this free agency a lot of vets to get long-term deals, which is a very interesting thing to see. Kind of teams, I think, kind of realizing, what, they're older guys. We'll give them a little 2-year deal instead of holding ourselves in for a 4-year deal for a 32-year-old guy who will be 36 at the end of it, I guess, and stuff like that. So that's a very interesting thing. But yeah, Klay Thompson is gonna be one. This is gonna be one of the biggest things to watch in free agency. Is he gonna stay a Warrior? How much are they gonna offer him? Or is another team gonna swoop in and offer him a good contract? Because if a team like the Atlanta Magic or Philadelphia 76ers offer him a 2-year deal with a little bit more on it than Golden State, then I can see it. But I also kind of think if the Warriors offer him a 2-year deal, and then other teams offer him a 2-year deal, and the money's about the same, why not go back to the Warriors? But if the Warriors aren't offering him really anything, then it's like what's gonna happen? I honestly am believing more day by day that Klay Thompson will not be a Warrior next year, which is something I never even thought I'd had to say, but that's just what it is. So we'll see. But yeah, this Klay situation is going to be definitely one of the bigger things to monitor in this free agency. The last thing we're going to talk about in this video is DeMar Derozan potentially leaving the Chicago Bulls. Mark Stein reported, I want to say yesterday, I think. Yeah, yesterday, that he said, quote, one of the loudest questions bouncing around the league at the minute is thus: will DeRozan be more available in free agency than expected now once the marketplace officially opens on June 30th at 6 p.m.? Likewise, will DeRozan even want to return to the Bulls? End quote. Of course, DeMar's a free agent. He's 35 years old. He's been the last 3 years in Chicago. He's been really good in Chicago, but the Bulls suck. So at this point in his career, does DeMar want to go to another team to win a championship, or is he just gonna ride out with the Chicago Bulls, a team that's loved him and wants to pay him and stuff like that? Um, Back last month, he reported that DeMar was expected to re-sign with the Bulls. The Bulls are gonna offer him a good contract and all stuff like that. But apparently now with the Josh Giddey trade that happened the other day, that could affect DeMar. I guess kind of seeing like, okay, what direction are we going in? Because if we're going another rebuild, then I'm out of here. Because I'm 35. I'm not. I don't have time for a rebuild. I'm trying to win some playoff games. You know. So yeah. Do I want DeRozan to leave the Bulls? Yes, because I want the Bulls to rebuild. But DeMar, I mean, it's no secret. DeMar is just he's one of the toughest players to kind of just move around because he's just not one of those players that you can put anywhere and he'll make it work. I mean, he's a good enough player where maybe he could, but he's not one of those guys that is just you can go anywhere and it's just seamless fit. That's more like it, more of a seamless fit. Not saying you can't make it work, but it's not. He's not a seamless fit everywhere in the league. There's certain specific situations where he'll fit better than others with his game. And it's just going to be very interesting to see where he goes if this is true and he doesn't want to be a Bull. Teams I'm thinking of, the 76ers obviously are a team there that Sixers are going to get somebody in this range. Someone's coming to Philly. And maybe they could be a team where if Paul George, that doesn't work, or if a trade for Brandon Ingram or Zach LaVine doesn't work, DeMar DeRozan could be a solid option. That's one of the few teams I kind of see him working with. Him and Joel dominating the mid range. You still have Tyrese Maxey. It's going to be an interesting fit, but I don't really hate the idea of DeMar in Philly. I can't really think of any other teams off the top of my head right now, especially teams that are willing to give him some solid money because there's not a lot of competing teams that have money in this free agency. But let's do it. Let's do it, DeMar. Let's leave. Let's leave Chicago. Let's make Chicago, because if DeMar leaves Chicago, the Bulls have no choice but to start rebuilding, start trading. Because after that, it's like they're not getting anybody else to replace DeMar. They're already trying to trade Zach LaVine. They're trying to, they're begging any team in the league to come get Zach LaVine from them. So if DeMar leaves Chicago, I think they have no choice but to start rebuilding. So let's do it, DeMar. You can help change the Bulls franchise by leaving. So let's do it. All right, it's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.